Yes! Concept Series Megatron. Let's see if I can fix this. I just redid my setup. I just moved it because my current setup space is being taken up, so I moved it. Let's see if I can make this better. Seems that pushing the light box as far away from the camera as possible worked. Concept Series Megatron. The first concept art studio series and quite the amazing figure. We're going to take a quick look at the packaging. So up. And we're going to take a quick look at the packaging. You got Bumblebee, Takara Tomy, Transformers, all the fun stuff. Concept art Megatron studio series. You got him. He's him. You got number 109. Turning the box around the side, you get a pretty nice CG render of Megatron. Hold up. Alright, on this side, you get a really nice CG render of Megatron with the kind of, Transformers, Authentics, all that stuff, and the kind of blueprinty thing. Come on, where is it? Flipping the box over to this side, you get Studio Series 109 Megatron Leader Class. Then finally, flipping it around to the back, you get some product shots of the actual figure. That Decepticon logo, I'm just noticing that Decepticon logo is much smaller than it actually is. It's from the scene Cybertron Falls, big screen inspired, unreleased movie concept of Megatron and Transformers Bumblebee leading the Decepticons in a final attack on Cybertron. 32 steps to tank mode, 39 steps to jet mode. So let's crack him open. I've had this figure for a while. Sorry I haven't gotten around to reviewing it, but I did. So let's do that now. So here we have Concept Series Megatron. And I need to move the light box again. Fun. Well, maybe not if I'm able to get that light shoved in his face. There. So here we have Concept Series Megatron, who I think looks absolutely beautiful. I think he is beautiful and gorgeous and amazing and beautiful. And I need to take a sip of water. And beautiful. So let's get him into his standard just standing there pose and bring him in for pick up the phone. Bring it in for a closer look. The head sculpt. There's a lot of detail in there, and on camera it might be a bit hard to pick out the mouth, but you pause it and take a look, it's pretty good. Great translation from G1 into live action. The fusion cannon looks absolutely beautiful. All of it looks great. There are accents of red, of course, there are the forms, but then there are also these little bitty pieces on the chest, and these little accents on the shins. Once again, the fusion cannon looks amazing. Everything looks amazing on this guy. So, fusion cannon is his only accessory, so now we're going to get on to articulation. The head is on a ball joint. We'll look up. We'll look down. We'll tilt to the side ever so slightly, but it will, in fact, rotate. It needs to rotate for transformation. Shoulders can pull a full 360, hinge out to the side. Intentional butterfly joints, which are really good for getting him into fusion cannon poses. There is a bicep swivel. A bend at the elbow, which allows you to more easily work the bicep cut. because there's also a forearm swivel. So if you grab him down here and try to rotate the bicep, you'll rotate the forearm. So I recommend bending the elbow 90 degrees and then rotating, which will then rotate the bicep. Hands. Hands are crazy. They can wrist rotation in and out, and for the fingers. So there, he's got the 3-finger trigger finger split, but there is a joint at the base of the finger and a joint in the middle. So you got, come on, that and that, which is amazing to get him into poses, because usually when Transformers open their hands, there's like a circle, and yes, while that's still there, it is mitigated a lot due to the absolutely crazy articulation of the hands. You can have them boss fist, you can have them point, but what I like to do is I like to keep them in the position they have to be in for transformation, which is the index finger being shoved in here, and then these 3 fingers being as close to the base of the wrist as they can while being flat, like that. So then you do get a full 360-degree waist rotation. Speaking of which, he is very clean for a triple changer. So then the hip skirt, that piece goes forward, and this piece goes backwards and up to allow for a killer high kick. Can then kick back to that far. In and out is pretty much unimpeded. There's a thigh joint. Really deep neck bend at the knee. I am Megatron, and I'm going to stomp on you, pathetic Autobots. Now for the feet, they can pivot forward, they can pivot backwards, and they can tilt. So crazy good articulation for this guy. Accessories are the fusion cannon. We already saw this. But there's actually multiple ways to store it. So you can unpeg that piece, rotate the barrel, peg it back in, and there's a tab here that'll peg into a slot there. So just slide that in. Then you can slap it onto Megatron's back to give him kind of a backpack, which I don't mind. But then another thing you can do a lot of different things with how you store the fusion cannon. I do it on the arm. You can convert it back into its original robot mode configuration and peg it onto the back again to kind of act like the G1 barrel over the head. But then you can hinge it forward to make it kind of a shoulder cannon. There are a lot of things you can do with it. So now we're going to get into some Megatron size comparisons, and the first character we're going to compare him to is his enemy, Optimus Prime, and I think the scale for these two is really nice. However, I do think that it is a bit of a missed opportunity that with the concept art line and the existence of concept art for a Cybertronian version of Bumblebee movie Optimus, we should eventually get that, hopefully, and have a Cybertronian Optimus to pair with Cybertronian Megatron. We then have Megatron's loyal communications officer, who is Soundwave, and I think that the scale for these two works really well. I've always thought of Megatron being big as the leader of the Decepticons, and that holds true for this guy. Especially when you compare him next to the Bumblebee movie Seeker mold, which is a really big thing, but with Megatron, he is actually bigger. And unfortunately, I currently do not have in my possession the Voyager-class Bumblebee movie Shockwave. However, I did have it in my possession. I do not longer have it. It did not get stolen. I just returned it because I wanted this month's figure to be the Legacy United Sandstorm instead. So, this is the core class, which my headcanon is Shockwave was doing some kind of experiment to try to shrink the Autobots down into a more manageable size, and he accidentally did it to himself, which would be funny. Speaking of which, let's do some Autobot comparisons. So we got Bumblebee movie Brawn and Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. Then we got Bumblebee movie Ratchet and Bumblebee movie RC. So one thing's for sure, if this guy showed up in the Bumblebee movie, I don't think we would have Rise of the Beasts. Now, turning to transformation, one of the cool things about transformation is you do not need to remove the fusion cannon. But I'm going to, because it's easier. So what you want to do for this one, for the tank mode, is you want to unpeg that, rotate it, and re-peg it back in just to make sure it's stable and straight. And then you want to unfold this. This tab will go into that slot. Then you can set that off to the side for now. So the hands do need to be in this position, with these 3 fingers being close enough to the base of the wrist. So that way when you open this panel and flip them in, they go in no problem. And then you want to rotate the forearm and just T-pose them for now. Oh, what are we going to do now? We're going to do the legs now. So take this piece, bring it out. Take this piece and bring it out. And then you want to bend the knee, grab like kind of in here, and just kind of pull the shin away from the knee. And then you want to collapse the foot. There's a tab here. There's a slot there that will go into a tab there. So collapse that, peg it in, bring it down like that. Then collapse the wing and fold that piece up so it's facing that way. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Bang. Now what we're going to want to do is take this piece and just pop it out entirely. Bring this skirt piece down. Repeat the same process. Now we're going to work on the torso, and I'm going to raise the camera. All right, now we get to work on the torso. So take this entire assembly and bring it out. There's a joint here, a joint up here, and a joint down here. Next, what you're going to want to do is rotate the head 180 degrees. Bring this assembly out. Bring this up. Now, these slots will go into these tabs, so just flip that around and peg it in. Oh, wrong. Wait, no, yeah, I was right. And then there is a little hook here that'll go into that clip. Now, at first, it's really hard, but today, it just all of a sudden got easier for me. I don't know why. Then you collapse the arms, bring these pieces in, peg them together. Now, you want to bring in the fusion cannon, peg it into this, bring it in, and peg it into the opposite arm. Now, final step is an annoying one. So bring these tread pieces out. This one is fine. This one is not. This one is really stuck. So you just want to yank that out, make sure it's all level, and let's lower the camera again. Show you this tank mode, which I think looks pretty good. For the first Studio Series triple changer, and needing to nail the robot mode as good as they did, the vehicle modes have to suffer somewhat. It's just a fact. And I think that this is a really dang good alt mode for what we have. Detail, I think, is really nice. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any wheels, and I think that is partially due to the fact that they were already engineering so much into this guy. He is kind of hollow, but whatever. The turret can go up and down and rotate on this kind of back axis. So I think that this tank mode looks really good. It's also blast effect compatible, so give me a minute. Alright, these are some of the blast effects that came with the Ironhide and Prowl 86 2-pack. So now, if you want to, you can have him shooting. And you can do that in a robot mode, too, which is how I have him displayed on my shelf, which is really nice. Now for some vehicle mode comparisons. And who better to compare him with first than Optimus Prime? And oh my god, I just spent so long transforming stuff off camera! That took me like a solid 7-10 minutes, even. Ugh. God. Why? Okay. So this is a comparison that is being made between Bumblebee movie Megatron and Bumblebee movie Optimus. One thing. This Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, we need a Cybertronian version, because the concept art for a Cybertronian version exists. We know this, and we don't yet have it. And now that they have the concept art line, it'd be a great time to introduce that, to pair along with all the other Cybertronian Autobots and Decepticons. Speaking of Decepticons, here we have Bumblebee Movie Soundwave, which is a pancake. But I think these two work well. You can see how much compression goes on here because these things are like the same size. These guys are like the same size in vehicle mode, but in robot mode, Megatron is a lot bigger. And that compression is shown even more when we pair him next to the Cybertronian Bumblebee movie Seekers, which are massive in their vehicle mode. And I think that this scale would probably work. However, one thing Megatron is bigger than is Shockwave's little H tank. Now, keep in mind, this is the core class. The Voyager class figure does exist, and I will get it again. Now, for a few quick-fire Autobot comparisons, here is Megatron compared next to Bumblebee movie Brawn and Wheeljack. And then Bumblebee movie Ratchet and Bumblebee movie RC. So once again, the Autobots will not survive this. Now remember, this guy has a third mode that we must get to. So I'm going to remove the fusion cannon again. And for this, you just want to compress this piece and leave it like that. Now I'm going to raise the camera to make this easier. Alright, so first thing you want to do is compress those tank treads if they haven't already compressed themselves. And you want to bring the arms out and up like this. Unpeg this. Bring the legs down like this. Make sure this black piece stays facing forward so that way the white piece is in the back. Next thing you're going to want to do is bring these pieces up, bring these pieces forward so you can bring these pieces back in. Hear that click, which tell you it's done. Now you want to rotate this assembly back up, rotate the head, collapse this assembly back down, bring out the nose cone, and collapse these panels into place. Now, for this, you want to collapse this assembly back into its robot mode position. It'll click into place, bring the arms down, and just let them hang there for now. Now we can bring these hip skirts back. Now we can work on the legs. So rotate the thigh, bring this knee joint so you can unpeg this, bring the wing all the way out, and this tank tread will flip around to become the jet mode thruster. Now there's a tab here, which will go into a slot there, and then a tab here, which will go into a slot there. So peg those pieces in, and now there's a tab here that will go into that slot right there, and then a tab here, which will go into this slot right here. So just line all of that up. Then you want to flip this piece out, bring this up, and there's a tab here, which will peg into a slot there. Now you want to do the same thing on the other side. Bang, sorry for the dog going crazy. There was someone at the door, and I had to go answer. So, collapse these hip skirt pieces down, make sure this is all straightened out. Now, this tab will peg into a slot there. So slide that in and just kind of rest it there. Sometimes it doesn't like doing its job, but just give it a good old squeeze. Squeeze. Ah! You can take this off camera. Now, the fusion cannon. So make sure you peg it into the right side. Then just kind of straighten it out. And with all that being said and done, here we have Megatron in his jet mode, which to assist it sitting flush on the floor, I'm going to remove the fusion cannon from the bottom. So that way it sits easier on the ground. And I think that this is an actually decent jet mode. A lot of people say it's just a cobbled up mess of parts, but one, it's an alien jet. We're not supposed to understand how this thing works. And two, if this is a cobbled up mess of parts, then what's the 2007 jet? An F-22? Sure. So, whatever. The underside is okay. This jet mode just screams okay, but I like it. Now for some vehicle mode comparisons. Here is the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime, which we need a Cybertronian mode for. Bumblebee movie Soundwave. So at least this thing looks like it could actually fly. This thing just looks like a pancake. But out of these two jets, I will admit that the Tetra jet is a lot better than the Megatron jet. Here we have Microwave, which is just Bumblebee movie Shockwave. Now for a couple quick comparisons, we have Bumblebee movie Brawn and Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. And then we got Bumblebee movie Ratchet and Bumblebee movie RC. So, some final thoughts on the Bumblebee Movie Studio Series 109 Concept Art Megatron. I think that this is a really good figure, and if you can get your hands on it, which is quite a difficult process, I pre-ordered mine on Big Bad Toy Store and it took about a month or two to arrive, I would say pick it up. It is a really fun figure, and despite the obvious flaws, it is still a really fun figure. That has been my review for Bumblebee Movie Megatron. Like the video if you liked the video, and consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot, bringing my channel into the eyes of many more people, and being able to beat out my friends' subscriber counts. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.